It's good to see that, it's another day here in Melbourne, and it's a very hot day. But this is Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers, and I'm bringing you the lesson 15 of what has been Grammatica e Pratica. And I'm glad to say that we're getting to the end of Grammatica, in the sense that there'll be a first walk in the park sort of thing, in the forest, and I will complete the journey and then restart it again. It's like going into new areas, and then you can discover it by pratica, with the practice of going back to the road that you've travelled on. It's easier the second time. But the first, the first series, if you like, will be something that will be etched in my memory, because I've been thinking about grammar and its place in the teaching of languages, and I've sort of seen it like, it has been like a Cinderella for me, because I've seen it being neglected in favour of other ways of teaching the language. And people were right. The practice brings you on other roads away from grammar. But without the grammar, you cannot really understand the whole of the language. So by going through this, I think it'll be 20 lessons basically, and I'll finish it there, because I've just worked it out that I can, I can cover most of the grammar now, the 9 parts of speech, if you remember, within those 20 lessons. And today I'm going to give you the past, passato anteriore, past anterior, passato trapassato, trapassato remoto, it's called in Italian. Il trapassato remoto, and in English is the past anterior. Last week we did the pluperfect. In English, the pluperfect and the past anterior are actually the same, but when you translate them into Italian, you need to use the different conjugation in Italian, the different tense, because Italians expect the pluperfect to be more of a continuous type of activity, if you like, whereas the passato remoto, il trapassato remoto is actually one action in the past, in that sense there. Now, the exercises themselves, you can do them, the exercise, but really the best way of handling this type of understanding is by reading books and identifying where the tenses are used, whether it's a present tense, whether it's an imperfect tense, whether it's the passato remoto, the past absolute, and the future. They are the simple tenses, and then you've got the perfect tense, the pluperfect tense, and this is the past anterior. And the next one that we'll do will be the future perfect, and that will be it of the composite tenses in the indicative mood. Now, I did give you the imperatives, the gerund, also the past participle, and the infinitive. So what is left is just the subjunctive, and there are 4 tenses there, and the conditional, and there are only 2 tenses there. I might wrap them up in one lesson or 2, depending on how I go. And today I'm also going to give you a first look at the pronouns. There are 6 types, I think probably 6 types of pronouns, and I'll just mention them. We won't do the exercises, because that's not the idea of this particular first series on pratica and grammatica. This is grammatica e pratica. The next one will be pratica e grammatica. The grammatica will come secondary because you will have done grammatica first with pratica, and then we'll change and we'll go the other way around. Okay, so very happy for this today. And I'm going to do a couple of other things. I'm going to do the songs, of course, and also it's Australia Day tomorrow. That's when Captain Arthur Phillip settled in Sydney, put his flag up. But today, we dedicate today to our Indigenous populations. Well done for 60,000 years. You've been here and you've looked after the place, and now you have to continue to do it by, being part of this big, what we call today, Australian family. It is Australia, and we all live here together, whether we come yesterday or 60,000 years ago. Does it really matter? Yes and no. It depends on your outlook. So let me start now the actual lesson. I'm going to start with the past the past anterior. But before I do that, a bit of revision of, first of all, the 9 parts of speech. Here we go. Noun, article, adjective, pronoun and verb. And today we're going to do the verb and pronoun. We've done the adverb, prepositions, conjunction and exclamations. So those are the 9 parts of speech, which I am very keen to remind people what they are at the beginning of a lesson. And these are the verb conjugations in Italian. There are 3 of them, are, ere and ire. That's the ending of the infinitive of the verb, which you look up in a dictionary. Are, ere and ire. There are 7 moods, 7 different departments, if you like. One is called the indicative, which talks about reality, present, past and future. The conditional, relating to conditions, I would, I should, etc. Subjunctive, that's hypothetical, things that you assume is going to be. And then there's the imperative that's used for commands. Gerund, it's sort of the ing words in English, singing, etc. Whilst you are doing it, cantando in Italian. But il cantante, which is the actual present of the past participle, is actually a singer as well. Cantante, the person who sings. And then the infinitive. That's the name of the verb as a whole. And I've counted them. There are 95 parts in Italian. Whereas in English, it's a different take altogether. So that's that. These are the tenses: present, imperfect, past absolute and future, perfect, pluperfect, past anterior, future perfect. We're doing the past anterior. In Italian, presente, imperfetto, passato remoto, futuro, passato prossimo, trapassato remoto, futuro anteriore. And so today we're doing the trapassato remoto. So what is the trapassato remoto? It's easy. Here we are. Past anterior. What you do, you get your personal pronouns, io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, loro. Then you get the past absolute of the auxiliary verb, whether it's essere or avere, depending on the verb, and then you add the past participle. So you say io fui stato, tu fosti stato, lui, lei fu stato, lui fu stato, noi fummo stati, voi foste stato, loro furono stati. If you're a female, you say io fui stata, tu fosti stata, lei fu stata, noi fummo state, voi foste state, loro furono state. In English, same thing. I, you, he, she, we, you had, and the passato remoto or the past absolute tense in English, it's the same as the imperfect tense. I had, you had, he had, she had, etc. That's for, oh sorry, I had, in this case here, in English, we used to have to go with been. So that's the difference. I think that's right. You can check it out, okay? And this tense in English is conjugated like the pluperfect. In translation into Italian, it is one action in the past. So that's basically it. It's the same as the others. These are composite tenses. Avere is the other auxiliary verb, and again, past anterior is formed by the personal pronouns, the passato remoto of avere, and then avuto is the past participle. In this case, though, there's no distinction between male and female. Everyone says, io ebbi avuto, tu avesti avuto, lui, lei ebbe avuto, noi avemmo avuto, voi aveste avuto, loro ebbero avuto. The only thing to remember that avuto, as a past participle, acts like an adjective. So when I'll be introducing the pronouns, and when you get a pronoun before the verb, if it's a female, if it refers to female, that avuto can change to avuta, 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 avute as well. So there you are. So that's welcome to Nina Alberti and Antonio Carlos Zaccaria. We're doing the past anterior of the auxiliary verb, and I mentioned that that there will be 20 lessons, and I will be finished the first part of presentation of the grammar. There's only one more, something else to do next week, and the week after, and the week after that, and then, yeah, this is lesson 15. So this is the past anterior in English. I had had, you had had, he or she had had, we had had, you had had, they had had. Note, the past participle of to have is had. The past anterior and the pluperfect are the same in English, but they translate differently in Italian. So that's, and that you'll pick up when we do pratica. Lots of pratica, and I'll refer back and say, oh, do you remember the past anterior and the pluperfect? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? That's how we're going to then remember, cover the grammar. The grammar you will learn as you go along in the pratica. Okay? So that's the past, that's to avere. These are the two auxiliary verbs, essere and avere. And of course we have the are, ere and ire conjugations. Now, the verbs here, again, some of the verbs can take the essere, passato remoto, and some can take the avere. Again, this we'll learn in the practice. But the past anterior, the classic past anterior in Italian is of the verb parlare, there it is. Okay, passato anteriore, first conjugation verbs, are verbs, first conjugation. And I also gave you a list of are verbs last week. I can go back to that. But there's no need because you can look it up, by going to the previous lesson. And with a bit of luck, I'll be able to put all these lessons on my Insegna.com. So the lessons will be one after the other. So I look forward to that as well. Past anterior. Io ebbi parlato, tu avesti parlato, lui, lei ebbe parlato, noi avemmo parlato, voi aveste parlato, loro ebbero parlato. Now, the note here is the past participle of parlare is parlato. There you are, spoken. But in English, it's not spoked, it's spoken. So in English, you get a different past participle. It's an irregular one in English. So you say, I had spoken, you had spoken, he or she had spoken, we had spoken, you had spoken, they had spoken. Now, the English past anterior conjugates like the pluperfect tense. But translating it into Italian needs some attention. A single act in the past. That's what it is. This the composite tense and the simple tense, if it's passato, past absolute, or in this case here, il trapassato remoto, the past anterior, it's this, in Italian it's different, and sometimes you can also have essere, depending on whether, if the verb is a verb of motion. Again, I don't want to preempt the la pratica that's coming in the next, the next series. So I like to finish off a particular job and then start another one on a similar pattern, but it develops, it gives people, and yourselves too, more flexibility. Because you say, oh, it's only 20 lessons, I can go and do them again. And that's it. And then it's education for adults, basically what I'm doing, because you already speak another language, you speak your own language, unless, you have problems, physical problems, but, if you speak English well, you should be able to speak any other language well as well. Easy. It's a myth to say that children learn more quickly. They do and they don't. They learn more quickly the things that are new because they've got, their data in the brain is developing, whereas ours is developed. Therefore, you've got to transfer that data into the other language, and then the trick is done. So that's the verb. Ere, same thing. You remember ere, the past participle is uto. Credere is creduto. There it is. And the past anterior is io ebbi creduto, tu avesti creduto, lui ebbe creduto, noi avemmo creduto, voi aveste creduto, loro ebbero creduto. So there you are. In English, the past anterior is I had believed. Now, to believe, the past participle of believe in English, it's ed at the end, believed, and that is the regular part, unless you get an irregular one. So there you are. In English, it's I had believed, you had believed, he or she had believed, we had believed, you had believed, they had believed. Three simple ones, 3 singular ones and 3 plural ones. They're called voices. Now, the auxiliary verb used for the second conjugation verb credere is avere. So use the past anterior of avere and add the past participle of credere. That's all it is. And that's the composite tense. So when you see that particular verb in the writing, you'll be able to recognize it. The next one is, of course, the third conjugation, the ire verbs, the verbs that end in ire. And I'll be giving you more verbs, and you can do the same. You can pick up an Italian dictionary and just go through the lists, A, B, C, and you pick up the verbs, are, ere, and ire, and see what happens there. So, same thing, dormire, capire, it's quite regular in the past participle. All you do is drop the ire and add ito, dormito in this case. And the auxiliary verb for dormire is avere. Io ebbi dormito, tu avesti dormito, lui, lei ebbe dormito, noi avemmo dormito, voi aveste dormito, loro ebbero dormito. Now, if you speak Italian already and you live in Australia, it's very unlikely you ever heard of io ebbi dormito. You find this more in novels, in the writing, in the Italian writing. That's the way it works. In English, is the past anterior. I had slept. And slept. It's not slept. It's slept. It's an irregular in English. I had slept. You had slept. He or she had slept. We had slept. You had slept. They had slept. So the auxiliary verb used, the auxiliary verb plus the verb used is in this case here. I've shortened it. I try to explain the same thing in different ways depending on which when I'm writing. And I think it's good like that. The next one is the past anterior of the auxiliary verb avere plus the past participle of dormire gives you the past anterior. The past anterior. Now, the past anterior, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Past anterior, it's the passato remoto. It's the actual, it's past anterior is wrong. There, see that? I've just crossed it out. It's the past absolute. Absolute. There you are. Past absolute of the auxiliary verb avere plus the past participle, and you get the past anterior. You see, even as a teacher, things, just escape you. And I can correct myself because I know my work, but somebody else says, "Oh, you made a mistake, sir." They love to pick out on teachers to show your incompetence. But it's not incompetence at all. Let me go back to me. Now, I've just done the verbs part, the past anterior. That means that next week I'll do the future perfect, and the week after I'll probably do the subjunctives and the conditionals together because there are only 6 tenses. And then I'll have finished with the verb. That's only the presentation. Then we have to learn how to use them. So la pratica then takes over. It's like anything we do. If you want to grow vegetables, you got to learn how to treat the soil. Then the plains, you got to follow the seasonal changes. Now, I'm the son of a gardener. My father was a good gardener, and my mother too. But I stayed away from it. But I saw what they were doing, and then since Nella passed away, even before, I've always done it. But now I'm actually taking some pleasure in growing things as well. So I'm learning how to do this, learning how to cook, learning how to use technology, because I always said, oh, someone else can do that. And learn how to run the business, because Nella was doing it. I didn't have to do that. I did other things. I enjoyed my theatre, the TV, the this, the that. So in other words, it didn't look like you were working, but I've always been working, but it's a pleasure to do what I do. And if you do anything as a pleasure, you never have to work a day in your life. That's what they say. So here we go. Now this is the pronouns. As I said to you before, the pronoun was the one that's a bit more difficult and needs a lot of attention. Okay, there are 6 sections. Let's have a look at them. This is the pronouns. Now, these are the subject pronouns. They are the ones that we've seen in the verb, used in the verb. But notice here too that in Italian it's io, tu, lui, but also egli was the old form. Lei, ella. You can have ella as well. But you can also have essa, esso, essa, which I didn't put in, but I put in with loro. So lui, egli, esso, lei, ella, essa, noi, voi, loro, essi, essa. So you notice more than one way of doing it. In English we have I, you, he, or it, she, it, we, you, they. The it in Italian doesn't exist. That's a neuter. That's when it's not masculine or feminine. You use the it in English to mean it's not neither one or the other. It's whatever. It's got its own grammatical section, if you like. As a pronoun, we, you, and they. There's no other way. Apart from it in English, that's it. Now, io parlo, I speak. But what about if you want to say, Luisa, or better still, Nina speaks to me. Or I eat an apple, I eat it. I sing a song, I sing it, the song. That means that is a direct object pronoun. These are the direct object pronouns in Italian. Mi, ti, lo, la, ci, vi, li, le. I don't need to do the exercises to show you these. I just want to show you them. And these are the English ones. The direct object pronouns are me, you, him, it, her, it, us, you, and them. So so we've got subject pronouns and direct object pronouns. Now, if I want to say, I give the apple to Dino. Welcome Dino. I give the apple to Dino. To Dino, to him. That's called an indirect object pronoun. Rather than I give the apple, I give it to him. That's the indirect object pronoun. So in Italian it's mi, ti, gli, le, ci, vi, li, le. Welcome Benny. Lo giuro. This one is the indirect object pronoun in English. To me, to you, to him, to it, to her, to it, to us, to you, to them, to them. So in other words, with that too, not to confuse with the one of the direct object here. That's a direct object. If you add to him, to you, that means that is an indirect object pronoun and to be translated accordingly in Italian. And notice the way the indirect object pronoun, they're very light changes. The changes there are light. You know, it's very easy to forget these things. It's a bit like the passwords in our computers. Do you remember your passwords? I have problems all the time. But somebody who knows computers, and he said, oh, but it's easy, just write it down and you never have to go back to it again. True. Until you've got a problem, and then you don't know how to resolve it. And this is the same with grammar. Until you learn it, you don't know it. You have to know it automatically. And believe it or not, then these two things, direct and indirect, they also combine. Glielo, glieli. Well, I didn't put that down today because that comes later. That's a combination. Okay, these are now possessive pronouns. Okay, I own a dog. No, my dog. Yeah, if you want to say, it's mine. That dog is mine. That's mine. That's a possessive pronoun. Because in this case here, mio, tuo, suo, nostro, vostro, loro, can also be an adjective. But I've separated it. I said, okay, well, there's a possessive pronouns as well as adjectives, but we're not doing the adjectives, we're just doing the pronouns. So these are the various forms of the possessive pronoun. Il mio, il tuo, il suo, la sua, il nostro, il vostro, il loro. La mia, la tua, la sua, la nostra, la vostra, la loro. There's also otherwise. When you look at the Italian grammars, you can also have proprio, altrui. There's another one of the possessive pronouns. Again, these things here we do later when I do the next series, which will be pratica e grammatica. This one here is grammatica e pratica. So the focus on the grammar here. In the next set of lessons, series 2, it will be pratica, and with reference to grammatica all the time. But the pratica, I'll start the lesson with pratica straight away. Okay, and you can do the same. No one is stopping you from doing whatever. Okay, so that's 4 of them. So far, we've got the subject pronouns, we've got the direct object pronouns, we've got the indirect object pronouns, and the possessive pronouns. Okay? Now, this next one here, is used, it's called reflexive pronouns. It's the same as the others in many ways, but is used with the verbs, because the verbs, the conjugations, the verbs, you've got the verb, but you also got reflexive verbs and what's the other one? There's one more. It's too hot. Oh dear, dear. But there are three types. Anyway, I'll get to it. That verb there, the reflexive, what I'm interested in now, and I'm focusing on, the other one is called passive, the passive. For example, I'm going to use Benny. Benny gives the book. You want the passive is Benny. The book is given by Benny. That's the passive. But a reflexive verb. We'll come to it. But the thing is, what we want now is a reflexive pronoun. So I'm not going to. That's what I'm concentrating on. So here we go. These are the ones, reflexive pronouns. Mi, ti, si, ci, vi, si. In English, reflexive, myself, yourself, himself, herself. I did this myself. Yourself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. Notice the self changes to VS in English. That's part of. Now in the words, singular and plural. So that's that. And the last one is called relative pronouns. And this is a very big section, this one here. In Italian, when you see things like che, cui, il quale, la quale, i quali, le quali, ciò che, quello che, quel che. Have I got any more? Relative pronouns. Well, there's as I said, there were 8, whereas one of the books said there were only 6, but I worked them out, there were 8. So these are the relative pronouns. In English, well, I was finishing off. I hope we're still on, because my computer went blank. Anyway, cosa, che cosa, il che, chi, colui, colei, coloro. I hope they haven't stuffed up my program, my lesson. If you could make a little note, yes, somebody could write me a note saying Dino or Antonio or Nina or Benny. Just write something that you say you're on, because otherwise this lesson I will need to do it again, I suppose. I'm not sure. So if you can, if you're still there, these are the pronouns, relative pronouns. To whom, to which in English, cosa, che, il che, chi, colui, colei, coloro. Okay? And these ones here are the other ones. These are interrogative pronouns. Chi, che, cosa, quale, quanto, quanti soldi hai, etc. Interrogative pronouns, and the demonstrative pronouns are questo, codesto, quello, stesso, medesimo. Okay? Well, no one is telling me anything. Are you still on? Well, I hope we're still on. It says live. Are we live here? Oh gosh.